And so before we get started, so let me tell you that we have people joining from as far as Kanyakumari till Punjab. So we're blessed with a good crowd and people who are really interested in shooting and who want to learn more and perform really well. And this webinar or a series of webinars that we have started and initiated will carry on, and we'll be bringing on more experts on the subject, like sports physiotherapists, sports psychologists, and this will be a continuous process where we will be continuously giving out information and knowledge. So once this ball sets rolling, we'll also, at the end of the session, I will share a link to a WhatsApp group. People who are interested in continuing these sessions can always choose to be part of the WhatsApp group, and all the updates you'll be getting on that WhatsApp group going forward relating to this series. So Part to Success in shooting is not just one series, it's just first part of many parts to come, and all of you will receive a lot of knowledge and understanding of shooting and the intricacies involved in shooting through this. So I think it's a good time to start off the event. As you see, we have the first topic for today to start with. The Part to Success in shooting is importance of a coach and psychology in shooting. So it's a very interesting topic that I very consciously chose to, it is to set the expectation right mutual and similarly coach also has an expectation from student. So this session is looking at that perspective and telling what both need to understand each other, how they need to cooperate to achieve maximum success between both of them. So you can, if you look at the first topic, so we have two topics here. So the first topic is importance of a coach. The discussion will be ranging like what a coach does for an athlete and what must an athlete do to extract maximum out of the coach, right? So that's the perspective that I'm trying to explain here. And the second part, psychology of a champion in the making. So when I say into the range. So when you walk into the range, what is the kind of an attitude and what kind of mental approach or mental makeup that is required, expected from a shooter. So this is needed for you to grow in the sport. Okay, every athlete needs this for him to grow in the sport, and it is the attitude and behavior that will surely contribute to your success as an athlete. So that is the topic we are looking at, and two parts. So as we start, first let's understand what is coaching. Let's look at a textbook definition of coaching. So it is, as you see, process of teaching, guiding, motivating, and training an individual in preparation for any sports career or an event. So it's process of teaching, guiding, motivating. So there's a textbook understanding of the what coaching itself is. So it also includes process of preparing a training program and implementing it. Okay, so so it's not just about guiding or motivating. It's also about planning and preparing something and seeing the end of it, right? And now if you understand my from my perspective, what a coach does is he ensures the well-being of an athlete for his holistic development. When I say holistic development, it includes physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So these are the three aspects as a coach I'll be very concerned with in development. So physical, mental, as well as emotional well-being. So putting that into perspective, if you look at what a coach does and what coach delivers. Okay, why am I telling this? Why am I talking about deliverables of a coach? When you say deliverable of a coach, that means coach needs to give you, uh, work. Coach actually works on all these aspects. It does a lot of things which probably you're seeing or not seeing, you're feeling or not feeling. But coach does all these things for you behind the scenes. So it is very important as an athlete for you to understand what are the things that your coach is working on and how you can derive maximum benefit out of it. So if you look at the first point, just a minute. Okay, so if you look at the first aspect, and which is giving you a perspective. Okay, a coach provides fresh or different ways of looking at a situation or context. Okay, so it is very important that as an athlete, you remember that there are a lot of mistakes that keep happening on and off. You keep repeating same mistakes over and over again, and this is where coach comes in and gives you a different perspective into things, which is extremely important, and makes you understand the situation you are in or the context in what we are trying to set an objective for every single session. And that perspective helps you to understand the game better. And it's very important as a coach, first and foremost, to give perspective to the athlete. So second point, planning. Okay, planning is the things to do to achieve the immediate goals. Okay, so you have short-term goals as well as long-term goals. So this is including both short-term goals as well as long-term goals. Now remember that even the best plan is subjective. Okay, so when I say subjective, it is subject to your efforts as an athlete. So your coach can plan a lot of things, but he needs you to, you know, he needs you to deliver them. So planning is co-developing. Okay, it's a process where coach and athlete work together to create a plan and eventually succeed. Okay, say solution, what are we talking about? A coach shares a solution to a problem or an issue. So sometimes there are problems that exist. Some problems might or might not be related to shooting itself. I keep telling this that your shooting and character is intertwined, right? They are both interlinked very much. So sometimes when coach gives a solution, it might not be directly related to shooting itself, but it is for development of shooting. So there has to be some approach and character development, which is part of psychology, and the same thing will result in good shooting. So that's what we are looking at. And when we say solution, it's not just always related to shooting. Okay, whatever solutions the coach finds is not always related to shooting. Fourth aspect that a coach always works on and delivers is options. Right, coach expands the number of options the athletes thought they had. Okay, and if you look at that, but that also has a limitation. An athlete, okay, when you say options, it is coach who has to give you an option. Rather, it should not be the other way. That shooter should not keep looking for options. That will erode your trust. Okay, you should always remember to, coach is there. Once you trust him, the coach is there. He will deliver you options. When you're looking for things, he will give you an option, like which pistol to choose or which rifle to choose. They, out of their experience and their understanding, they will share that. When you actively start scouting for options, there is that small erosion of trust, and that attracts you to suggestions. That makes you open to suggestions, and suggestions are innumerable in shooting world. Every person can give you a suggestion and you don't know what to follow. That creates a lot of problem. So best thing is always leave options to be suggested to your coach. Okay, then coach provides you an advice also, right? Via recommendations, he makes suggestions, advice relating to many things. Okay, so it could be relating to how to handle yourself in the range, outside the range, how to make time for shooting. Because you would have seen a lot of athletes suffer because of they don't have much time, and they don't know how to manage both things. And it also does happen that when shooting gets into comes in between your exams. So I have seen this many times with our own shooters. But best part was, and the best results always came when shooters managed and continued to train in spite of their exams. So they found a couple of hours in between. They came in, they practiced, and they delivered good results in nationals as well. So it is very imperative that you balance your time out, and this is where coach can be a big help. He can advise you not only related to shooting, other things also, because you would have seen many people, and they will definitely make a lot of suggestions and advices which you can definitely follow. Then coach gives you strategy. So that again, strategy is developed between a shooter and a coach. It is not universally applicable. Every strategy does not apply to everyone. So what strategy works for you will never work for everyone. So you have to look at strategy which is coach can give you that. You can work with the coach to develop a strategy. So when I say strategy, if you look at, I can give an example, like somebody like Muhammad Ali as a boxer. What he used to do, he used to trash talk. We say trash talk. It is like putting your opponent down by talking more than okay, putting your opponent down by talking. You tell them you're no good, you're absolutely useless, you can't even throw a punch. I don't even know how did you become my opponent. So when he did that, the opponent was emotionally a little upset. He lost his mental balance, and that was what he was looking for. Not that he was any less a good boxer, he was the best, but still he managed to get into the head of the opponent, and with his skills he managed to evade punches, and with his words he put his opponents down so badly that they had absolutely no motivation to punch him. So it's a strategy. So for you, if you look at shooting, of course you can't trash talk an opponent. It doesn't happen. Nothing like that exists in shooting. So strategy is how to what brings the best out of you. That is the strategy. So before and after an event, how do you handle yourself? So what makes you deliver the best, finding your own motivation, okay, that a coach can give you. And it's very important that you develop a strategy for shooting, and it has to come in consultation with your coach, and coach will deliver that. You have to rely on your coach to give you that. Okay, next point is validation. The coach validates via encouragement and acknowledgement. Right? What do we say when we say validation? What are we talking about here? So it is like, uh, he is confirming what you are seeing or not seeing. Sometimes your shots will be in a particular series, and you're not understanding what a pattern. You don't see a pattern. So a coach can see patterns where you fail to do that. So, and that validation from coach, when coach says you've done a good job, right, you can definitely trust it. You feel like, no, I've not done my best, I could have done better. And he knows that yes, we are progressing. You might not, for you it might not seem that you're making any progress, but coach can always see that because of pure experience. And he validates when he tells you that yes, we are on the right path. You can 100% trust him, and you can definitely follow that, and it will result in building up that trust. Okay, and another point is feedback. So coach offers feedback, observation, insights, ideas and opinions, right? So when we say feedback, that that feedback also needs to be taken in the right perspective. If your coach tells that you're not putting enough effort, he surely means that. He sees, he actually means that. If you're coming in and if you're not trying to understand the objective of a session and trying to work on the same objective continuously for 60 shots or 100 shots, whatever your practice session requires. So your coach will obviously give you a feedback. It can be positive feedback, negative feedback about your shooting, but it always needs to be taken in the right perspective. Okay, you cannot mix things up. So you should always, as a student, your responsibility is to look at coach only as he's coaching you. Don't compare what he's talking to somebody else, what he's doing with somebody else. That's got nothing to do with you. Okay. So why did you teach him like that? Why did you teach them that? Why did you alter their breath? Why did you change those? None of that matters. When time comes, everything will come to you. So wait for the feedback, what coach gives you, and take those feedback and work on those feedbacks. Okay, and this is where I the next point, challenge. Okay, the coach delivers challenges to shooters. So this is like it's like the movie 300. I remember a particular scene. I don't know if many of you have seen it, where a young boy, when he grows up, they send them out to the wolves, right? Just throw to the wolves. They're grown up and we've taught them enough, they will fight and come back. So like that, it's pretty similar to that. Coach expects you to put up a good fight, right? When we give you a challenge. So challenges can be many things, like competition itself is a challenge. So coach decides when to put you through competitions. So sometimes don't jump the gun, wait for your coach to train you. A lot of people who jump the gun to take up challenges, that will affect your psychology. Sometimes who are not prepared, shooters who are not prepared enough, they haven't put enough work into shooting to hone that skill and become a master at that skill. And randomly they go to competitions, and your skill is not there. Okay, your desire is there. There is no skill to deliver, and because we've seen this many times happening, that you come back with a scar. A lot of shooters come back with a scar of the competition, and every time they get to competition, that scar keeps hurting them. Okay, it keeps coming back. That pain of that competition keeps coming back, and they themselves don't understand what is going wrong. So every competition is like, they will come and say, "Oh, I could have done better. I could have done better. I could have done better." So you should always remember that coach throws in a challenge, and work in close association of your coach to pick up a challenge, and always work on challenges that they give you. As well as whenever you think you're ready for a challenge, you ask your coach, you put it across to your coach and tell them that I am ready for a challenge, so let's do this. Okay, it could be something as, you could say, let's decide on 17 shots, a random 17 shots, and all 17 I want to shoot it in a particular way. So let me try that. Okay, or I want to compete against the best shooter in my own academy, or I want to compete against another academy shooter, to just as a challenge, and see how I can deliver against this person in a competition. So all this is a fantastic way of setting up challenges and working in association of your coach to improve your shooting. Okay, so the bonus point I always say is caring. A coach cares for his students more than student cares for himself, and it is true. I've seen several wonderful coaches giving up so many things and doing extraordinary things for their shooters, and it's really fantastic that a lot of people are doing that. So the coach cares to you. He listens to you. He encourages you in your failure, standing by you in a plateau. When we say plateau, a lot of students would have experienced that after a particular level, your score doesn't go up. It's stuck. You will find the next level. It could take few people take 3 months, few people take 6 months, 8 months to achieve higher scores. And sometimes it's a mental block also that shooters develop certain basic things. They'll not be able to deliver 100%. It's okay. It's absolutely fine. The coach is there for you, right? So you discuss those problems with the coach and put it across. So it is going to help you a lot. So when I say really, only when you talk to their family, right? And his or her wife or husband complains that, so you'll exactly know how much your coach is caring for his students. So that is a very important aspect that uh, coach is caring. So right, we saw deliverable, perspective, plan, solution, option, advice, and strategy, validation, feedback, challenge, and he cares. He cares for shooting, he cares for you, he cares for the range, he cares for the success. So that means coach does so many things for you, right? So coach does a lot of things for you, and you have to just realize and stay stuck to your objective. Okay, utilize the coach and deliver the maximum results. Okay, so when that happens, you should not get stuck with the thought process. When we say, a lot of people, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. But a lot of in we see in a lot of cases also where when going gets tough, people start looking for options. No, you never look for options when going gets tough. When going gets difficult, you discuss with your coach your plan of action, continue to stick to your game plan. Okay, so that will yield a good result, and you don't realize, as shooters, we've seen that they don't realize that every day is not the same. They always come up with thoughts that, oh, yesterday I felt really comfortable. No, yesterday is past already. Okay, so you need to just trust the whole process. Okay, so when I say expectations of from a coach, so why do we need a coach? You need someone who understands. Okay, most of you would remember this particular scene, right? Master Uguay in Kung Fu Panda. About coaches, about teachers. Okay, so if you've seen that movie, it's absolutely puts into perspective that what a teacher thinks and how he trains for a bigger purpose, right? So the coach does a lot of things. So now we move on to the next part, which is connected to this, is how can athletes derive maximum benefit from their coaches, right? The picture describes what I'm trying to tell. The coach is right behind you. It's telling you it's time to march, right? Come, there are bigger challenges for you. Let's face it. I'll teach you how to do it. Okay. So that's the coach. That's the attitude of a coach, right? Which is there, and he walks behind you, and is always behind you, and you can trust that. You can really believe that there is somebody behind, and you can confidently walk in the front, right? You need not worry. So the best part about delivery, coach delivers. Now, how do you benefit out of it? How a coach is doing is by preparing your mind with right psychology. Okay, the athletes, what is expected out of athletes is bring that right mental frame, bring that right attitude to the range. That will help us prepare you better. Okay, so when we say psychology, let's look at the second part, which is what is psychology. So if you look at what is psychology, the again textbook definition of it: mental characteristics or attitude of a person. Okay, your characteristics and attitude. So what it makes you do, right? So it affects the way you think and you do things. Similarly, it also affects how others or people around you think and do things. I have, an example. I'll share two of my personal examples to you people here, that how your own mental characteristics and attitude works really well. And I'll take you back to my articleship days, where I was posted to one particular company and I had to attend an interview for that. And unknowingly, my office team had already sent a resume of mine, which they had prepared. I had no clue that they had sent my resume to that company. So I go, I sit there, and person and helped me a lot in terms of understanding and learning the ways of corporate life. He started asking me questions looking into my resume. And I said, he's like, you know this, you know that, you know this. And I said, where are you reading that from, sir? He said, oh, yeah, I think maybe my office guys have made up a resume and sent it. I only told him one thing: whatever is there in the resume, I know a lot more than that. You can drop the resume. Just give me some task right now. I'll go to your office. I see your entire team working there. I'll go sit there. Just allot me a computer, and I'll finish that job and come here. So he gave me a task and gave me about half an hour to finish that. And I could finish that in about 10, 12 minutes. Walk back into the room, put it on the table, and he said, "Fantastic, you're hired, right, for that particular job." So that gave a lot of confidence. It's because my mental characteristics and my attitude towards what I knew was top notch. I knew what was to be delivered there. I knew the job's requirement. I knew exactly what needs to be done, right? So that affected the way I spoke to him and the way I did things there, right? So similarly, when you know how to do things in shooting, how to do exactly what to do in the competition, right? It changes everything. So that kind of psychology you need to bring, right? It also affects others. I'll give you another example. This is back from my, school days, where we had a friend called Satish, and we went for a particular match, outstation match. We were playing cricket match, and during the previous evening, that guy fell down and he broke a glass which was on the table, and he had a very deep cut in his right hand. Okay, and he was a very good fielder, and we were all disappointed in terms that he's saying, we are best boundary rider. We call them boundary rider who man the boundaries. He's injured, and how will we be able to manage? And he wakes up in the morning with a heavy painkiller, and he says, "Let's go." He said, "Are you sure you want to play today?" He said, "Yeah, I'm absolutely sure. Why do you even doubt?" So let's hit the ground. And in the first over, he did some amazing fielding, and his attitude that day rubbed off on every single person. Every time the ball went towards him, everybody were in awe in terms of looking up to him and telling that, "Wow, you know, this guy with a absolute deep cut in his right hand, running crazy around the boundary and picking up throwing, that just rubbed off on everyone." And trust me, that whole match, I think we won only because of our fielding. Bowling was pathetic, batting was pathetic. The only reason we won that day, that match, was only because of fielding, and that was because watching somebody else do that, and it just rubbed off on us. So that means your psychology also rubs off against a lot of people. So if you look at, that is why a lot of people are looked up to. Somebody like Abhinav Bindra, the calm, the demeanor, the kind of calmness they have, the way with things they do themselves, right? So they don't need motivation. They don't need but what they need is they're always self-driven. So these kind of mental characteristics and attitudes of a person is what we need to have. Okay, so from there we'll now venture into uh, deliverable of an athlete. So when I say deliverable of an athlete is your characteristics, right? Your character as a person, what you need to have as an athlete, what you need to do on daily basis to achieve success. So this is psychology. So right. So this is what differentiate. This will differentiate between an average shooter and a fantastic shooter. Okay, so this is definitely from a coach's perspective also, and I've noted this and I've put across several points. Just like deliverables of an coach, the coach delivers so many things. So where and how an athlete can derive by having these characteristics ingrained in his daily approach. So let's start with that. So when you look at that, the first part is discipline. Discipline is mother of all success. I know there's no way I can stress anything more than discipline. There is no alternative to it. Absolutely no alternative to it. If you are not a disciplined person, you cannot achieve success in shooting. So when I say discipline, what is discipline? Turning up in the range every single day, right? You have to come back. Doesn't matter, right? You have to keep coming back and keep doing. When I say discipline, all we expect is to come back every single day and work on it on the allotted time. Stick to your plan. Stick to your plan. Deliver your plan. Even if the plan takes a little longer than originally intended to, doesn't matter. Stick to it, right? So you just need to stick to the plan and continue to work irrespective of what you're feeling that day. It doesn't matter. So that is discipline. So you do it just because it needs to be done. Nothing else. There is nothing else than the purpose itself, right? So you don't need motivation. You don't need an alarm. You don't need somebody chasing you. You don't need somebody reminding you why it needs to be done. All these things. So that is discipline. Beyond all that, discipline survives. It's like every day somebody, if you've seen who wakes up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock and does his morning routine, works out on a regular basis, every single day doing over and over again. You see, at the end of 10 years or 15 years of doing that, they will never regret that. In fact, that is something that they will share with everybody and talk about it really proudly. I do this every single day for last 15 years. I've done this for every single day in the last 10 years. And trust me, that confidence in what they tell and what they do every single day, you know, actually results in perfection. So perfection is nothing but your average of all your efforts you put. The average of all your efforts that you put will result in perfection. Okay, all the highs and lows. It's not just one top score. It's about average of all your efforts is perfection. Okay, and that comes from discipline and nothing else. Second part is trust. As an athlete, you need to have absolute trust, right? Absolute trust. It's like throwing a kid in air. There are a lot of examples people share that when you throw a kid in air and he just laughs and comes down, and you do that with an adult, right? They're like, "Ugh, why the hell you did that to me?" So trust, absolute trust that I'm not going to get hurt. That kid has, right? It's absolute joy. So similarly, you need to have an absolute trust in the entire process and your coach. Okay. So what does trust do to you? It makes you it makes you stick to your goals till you realize your goals. Okay. It makes you work even when you have no answers to your questions. Sometimes you feel like you're lost. You think that okay, nothing is happening. Especially, you remember I told you about a plateau that the score just doesn't go higher than a particular score. When that happens, you just need to trust yourself. You just need to trust your coach. You need to trust the process. You need to stick, right? You need to stick to the process itself. So that can happen only when you have trust. If you don't have trust on it, it's easy to lose. You just can't stick to it anymore. You deviate from your plan, you give up on your plans, and a lot of bad things going to stem out of it. It's confirmed. So you just cannot lose your trust. Okay. And third part, be competitive, right? Train to be the best. Give your best every time you come to the range. If you get an opportunity, if you're shooting against somebody, bring your ace game. Rush your competition every time you get a chance. Show them why you're the best. But what happens if you have better shooters than you around you? Doesn't matter. Fight like a tiger, right? Fight with them. Show them that I will be worthy competitor one day. So don't shy away from being competitive. If you shy away from being competitive, then competition will get you. The one of the best ways of uh, achieving success in competition is by being competitive, right? You challenge yourself. When I used to play cricket, and I used to really be competitive. Like if somebody hits a boundary in my bowling, I used to get really wild. And like I said, strategy. Remember, I used to walk up to the batsman. I used to trash talk the batsman and kind of abuse them and tell them, "Let me see if you can score another boundary out of my bowling." I just ensure to get them out. That used to pump me up, and that competitive spirit also played a big part in developing my own strategy. So being competitive not only means in your own game and in your daily life. If you're competitive in doing things, in getting things done and delivering things, it will help you a lot. So when you be competitive, it is going to help you in your competition. So when you go to competitions, you're there to compete, right? The confusion automatically subsides. So a lot of people have this problem of getting to competition and then thinking, what am I doing here? Right? It feels like an unfamiliar territory. It feels like I'm somewhere. This place, I don't belong to this place. What am I doing here? My shots are not coming right. Right? I've trained so much, but nothing is happening. Sometimes being competitive drives home the point and tells you this is where you belong. Now you're here. Finish the job. Okay. So being competitive helps you. And then next point is be patient. Right? You're disciplined. You have trust in the process. You're extremely competitive. But what's the point if you're not patient? Right? Not everything you see is a problem. Sometimes you say, sir, I know my grip is, I'm not able to grip my gun perfectly. Right? A lot of people tell this. And few people say, the gun doesn't seem to, settle down at all. So it's okay. Just be patient. That the solution is not going to come immediately, right? Not all questions you have needs answers. So there's so many doubts in your head. I just trust that you will find the answers at the right time. So everything need not be learned today or solved today itself. Every problem that you have need not be solved today itself. Let it take time. Gripping itself, just to grip the gun, the art of gripping the gun takes 3 to 6 months of focused and dedicated work, right? So be patient. And there's so many techniques involved in shooting sport. Like one of the leading coaches in our shooting, Haynes Reinkemier, Gaby Buhlmann, if you remember, they did work with Abhinav Bindra when he won the gold medal in Olympics. You know, in one of the in one of his books, he says shooting is an extremely technical sport. It is. It is absolutely a technical sport. So when I say technical, so there are so many techniques that needs to be assembled into one shooter to deliver maximum results. So if that has to happen, everything is not going to fall in place the same day. You acquire one technique and you work on another technique. When you're simultaneously working on two techniques, the third will still be a problem, right? If you master two, third will still be a problem. That's not going to happen today. So be patient. Okay, if you have a lot of doubts, be patient. You will find answers. We just wait till you find the right answers, and it's not going to take too long. Also, trust me, any person to become a good shooter, an average effort, if you look at, should be 2 to 3 years. Anything shorter, you're not looking at a career at all. Of course, there are a lot of students who've done that. In fact, we know quite a few students who've done in just under 3 months, they qualified to nationals. It's quite possible. We are not kidding, but to really hit the top level and to become the best in the business, you need 2 to 3 years at bare minimum, and from there is where you start building your career. 3 years is just the base. It's not even your career, right? Just the foundation. Nothing. You can't see a building there in 3 years. It's just the foundation. That's the beauty of this game, and you need to be patient with it. Okay. And one more important point of deliverable of an athlete. The first point, as you see here, is write it down. Notes. What you understand, you can explain. If you can't explain your problem to your coach, you will not get a solution. Understand? So what you understand you can definitely explain. So that means if you don't understand your problem, you cannot explain. If you don't explain, you will not get a solution. And the best way to do it is writing it down. Make it a habit to write down. When you write down and you go back and read that, right, always have a habit of reading your own notes. It's not just like your expense diary. A lot of old people I've seen, they used to write everyday expenses. Like I found recently found my father-in-law's book of 1970s, right? 1 rupee milk, 2 rupee rice. They got a kilo, sort of things, expenses in that. That doesn't make much of a sense. But your notes about yourself, what you thought those days, what was your thought process, right? When you were young, when you were new to shooting, what you thought about it and what you think now makes a big difference. It gives you a perspective to your own mind, which you never have it otherwise. So go back and read those notes also. But for that to happen, write it down. If you don't write it, habit of writing your shooting experiences, you are not going to succeed. Trust me, you have to write it down. You have to jot down your points, and you always have to go back and read them. Okay, there are standard formats also available to write down your notes. It helps you in terms of comparison, but again, in spite of that, there are a lot of remark columns which becomes very important, which you need to put it in a separate place. Thankfully, technology is at hand today. You can put everything on your phone, all the notes, and you can just start comparing them. Take time out once in a month and start reading them. Okay. Second point is learn to ignore. As a shooter, you have to learn to ignore what can't be solved today. Needs no attention today, right? If you can't solve it, you just don't need to pay too much attention. Whatever you know, work on that. Right? There are 100 things we learn in future, but we don't bother about them today. When you're holding the gun there, if you're looking at the front side, stay there. Don't look at what is going to happen later. Okay, so ignore things that are not necessary. Okay, it's part of your attitude also, that you need to develop to ignore things. So if you develop this ability to ignore things, you'll also develop an ability to ignore your problems. Okay, so best way to describe this ignoring things is, it's like a cycle without brakes, right? If you the moment you sit on the cycle and you know there is no brakes, you will always give yourself that cushion, right? To brake, you put your leg down, you know what speed to ride, when to put your leg down, and when to control the bike. You can ride the cycle, but enough precaution. You can take enough precaution. You can Okay, great. So next point, this is from the movie Kung Fu Panda again. There is no secret ingredient. Okay, in shooting, there is no secret ingredient. Process is the technique. Every action in the process needs mastery. Right? You have to become breathe, the way you pull the first stage trigger, the way you hold the gun, the way you drop it, and the way you hold your breath, the way you trigger, and look at your front sight and finish the shot. It's all small, small actions, but everything needs mastering, right? There is no one thing that you can do and deliver a good result. It is like all your efforts, the first 3 years of your efforts as shooters should be to learn the process. Okay. So that means by learning the process, what are you learning? You're actually learning how to shoot one good shot, right? How to shoot just one good shot. So if you know how to shoot that one good shot, your next career will be defined by your career will be defined by how many times you can repeat that perfect shot. If you can repeat that one perfect shot 60 times, right? You're a champion. Okay. So that means all your effort is to identify and learn how to make that one perfect shot. That's it. Absolutely nothing else. Okay. And then you develop a temperament to do it 60 times. It's like playing a T20 match and then playing a test match. First learn your grips around this, and then you need to play the long innings. So this is where the challenge is, and this is where sports psychology can help you. And all that comes much later. All of these comes much later. The first part is to identify, learn how to take that one perfect shot, and that is process. There is no secret ingredient there. You need to master that process, and each process has multiple actions, and you have to master every single action on it. Okay. So next point, shooting is not an exercise. Okay. I keep telling this, you come, you shoot, you go. That doesn't mean you've done any exercise. Or playing any sport is not equal to exercise. You need to develop your entire body for shooting. Okay. That means you need to do your training for flexibility, for okay. So it and weight training or combination of all these things, but you need to do a lot of exercise. Okay. And I always tell this, the only way to beat Usain Bolt is to wait till he retires and don't give up your second place. That's how you beat Usain Bolt. Okay. So every sport you will find an Usain Bolt. Okay. Even in shooting, shooters whom, let's say you train for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, suddenly one kid in the block, he comes and goes past your score like that in 2 years. What do you do? You just can't do anything about it. You just have to accept it. Okay. Just can't beat them. And the best people come sometimes, just can't beat them. But that doesn't mean you're going to give up that second place. Hang on to the second place. The day they slip the second place, the first place is yours, right? So it will happen, but you're not going to give up on your dreams. That is more important. Okay. And so exercise, physical exercise, what it does is it extends your life in your shooting career, right? So if you can do it for 5 years, it will, being physically fit will last for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, and sometimes magic happens, right? You've seen so many athletes who couldn't achieve anything in Olympics in their first, second, third, and in their fourth or fifth Olympics, they'll get one medal, and their whole life turns around. It's just like they're waiting 20 years for just that one moment. They lived their entire 20 years just for that one moment, and that's what we look for. And if you want to do that, and if you want to be that kind of a story, right? If you want to not give up, and if you're a real fighter, then you need to stay alive in that sport for 20 years. It's not going to happen without exercise, okay, and being physically fit, right? And next is my favorite part, ninth point, lucky, not me. Okay, I'm never lucky. Some days you are lucky, but most days in shooting you're not lucky, right? Let's say, I know it happens so many times. You're there in the practice sessions. You're there. Your gun is there, and your hand is on the trigger. It will never happen in the match. It will happen in your practice, but never it will happen. Even a perfect hold will result in a 7 or somewhere in the white. So it is very painful, right? And a 10, the score 10 ignores you like like your crush in the college. It just doesn't. Sometimes I've seen shooters like hitting 9.9, 9.8, 9.9, 9.8, 9.9, 9.8. Just 10 doesn't happen. So that does not mean you're doing bad, right? Doesn't mean you're doing bad. You're doing fantastic. You're that close to perfection. It only means you're that close to perfection. Hang on. You're not lucky today, but when luck comes, it will come with a big price. So absolutely, don't worry. Trust yourself. You're, so when I say you're not lucky enough, so you should also remember that you cannot leave anything to chance. You cannot leave anything to luck. You cannot go into a competition saying that today is my lucky day, I will win this competition. It's not going to happen like that. It takes a lot of process. Okay, so don't leave anything to luck or chance. Be prepared and work towards being lucky. Okay, if you're ready, if you won a competition, then you say, oh, I was very lucky, fantastic, doesn't matter. Okay, but don't leave anything to luck. It's not, luck is not going to go in your favor in competitions. Next point is one thing that I've seen a lot of shooters struggling with, and not putting enough effort in this part. Okay, 10th, but it's the most important point. Don't be critical of yourself, right? What does being critical do is it creates fear. Okay, if you're critical of yourself every single day you can't expect a best performance, and every single shot is not going to be the best. So there will be, even in a series, there will be some good shots and bad shots. You look for your good shots. What is the process you followed? You know exactly what errors you've done in your other shots. If you don't know, well and good. If you know them, prepare for the next shot. The most important shot is the shot you're going to take, the next shot. It's not what has already happened. So don't be critical of yourself for missing out one shot. It doesn't matter. Okay, don't be critical of yourself. If you looked at a child, right, just born, let's say 6 months, they start from crawling to standing. How many times would the child fall? And every time you look at a child stand and fall, you always appreciate. You say, oh, wow, fantastic, amazing. It's trying to stand and it's trying to fall. But same thing, will not give yourself that kind of a chance. When you hit a bad shot, you put your face down, you let your heart, pain in, you dip your heart in acid, kind of a feeling, burns, right? Don't do that. Don't be so critical of yourself. And the only thing that will do is, when you go to competition and if you end up shooting a bad shot, if it happens, that will sink your heart and you're going to lose that entire match. Okay, so don't be critical when you're training, and don't give up. The end begins after you give up, right? If you Once you give up, it's done, over. How many times you've seen? One of the best examples I can give you is Jitu Rai. Okay, he was a phenomenal shooter at 50 meters game. I've seen him in so many competitions. He comes back from eighth position to seven, seven to six, six to five, five to three, three to two, three to one, and not two to one, and he's got the gold. First few shots go bad, he just doesn't give up, right? A real fighter in him that pushes him and propels them not to give up. Okay, it's just that one shot, right? The next shot, if it's perfect, then I'm safe. So the new format of the game changing. I think we'll discuss that also sometime in the future series when we continue. Gives you more opportunities for committing mistakes, looks like. So one error shot is not going to cost you as much as it is going to cost today in the new format finals. So it is fantastic. And of course, every whatever looks like problem is another opportunity. Okay, so don't be critical of yourself. Don't give up at any point of time. Okay, if you shoot a bad shot, look at it from an objective perspective, that yes, I did this mistake, that's why that shot is bad. I didn't pay enough attention, that is why the shot is bad. It is not because I am bad. My entire shooting career is bad, right? I made a wrong choice. Don't think in that way. Don't be so critical. See see yourself like the child who's trying to stand and learn to walk. Okay, so that way you'll get that cushion in your mind telling that yes, I'm learning, I'm going to be perfect, and I'm going to run one day, right? Absolute freedom. Till then, you need to be patient. Okay, so if we to summarize, okay, deliverables of an athlete. So, what is the psychology a student needs to have to achieve success? Okay, with what psychology you can achieve success is first and foremost you need discipline, trust. You have to be extremely competitive. You have to be patient. You have to write down your notes, okay, and then you need to learn to ignore certain things, certain problems, like you didn't have breakfast, you just came to the range and you're feeling hungry and there is no way you have to finish a match. Doesn't matter, ignore that part and continue to do what needs to be done. What needs to be done has to be done. Okay, so learn to ignore things. It's not that you're going to ignore everything, but the most important aspect, what is not going to be solved right now, needs to be ignored. Okay, there is no secret ingredient, entire process has to be mastered. Shooting is not an exercise. Go to the gym, hit the gym, or your own academy, even free weight training, your own body weight training is sufficient, but you need to do that on daily basis, which is discipline. You're not going to be lucky. Work towards achieving mastering the entire process so that you don't have to depend on luck. Don't be critical and don't give up. Okay, very important. So decide. When we say decide, when you pick up the shooting sport and you're already here, now you're an athlete or you're a national level shooter, you could be a state level shooter, or you could be an absolute beginner. Doesn't matter. Decide what you want, right? With absolute clarity, decide what you want, and also understand why do you want it, right? It is like a child, my son, when I go home, right? He said he wants today, in after lunch, when I was coming this side, he said that, oh, I wanted to buy my sister's, a tire for my sister. He said for my daughter, and I was like, okay, why are you wanting it? He's like, I want to play with her. I'm going on my cycle. She can't be with me with her cycle. I want her cycle. Right? Why do you want it? He knows it. What he wants, his sister's cycle tire to be fixed. And similarly, you need to decide what you want in shooting. Why do you want it? Okay. And next, and most important point is how much of it you want. Right? You want to go to states, you want to go to nationals, you want to win one national medal, 10 national medals, you want to win Olympic once, twice. You decide what you want and plan accordingly. Okay, do your homework. Okay, everything is not going to happen inside shooting range. Okay, so you have to sit and think and work, and you have to prepare yourself. So how do you prepare yourself? Seek what you need. So find a need and seek what you need, right? Where it is, wherever it is, you will, when you seek, you will find things. So once you seek, once you start seeking, right, the world works in a beautiful way. You will receive what you seek, but you have to be prepared to receive it also. Okay, it is like so many people tell that I want to become a crorepati, and the best example is, a lot of people who became croropatis also did not know how to handle themselves post that. Okay, so if you become a good shooter and let's say you win a nationals, what are you going to do about it? How will you handle your success? Or you are this close to getting that national medal and you failed, how do you handle that feeling? Right, be prepared to receive everything. Right, whatever you seek, the day you seek, right, this now I want a national medal. Once you receive it, you should be prepared how to handle it. You should see how you will handle yourself later also. Okay, so do your homework, seek what you need, be prepared to receive, and because you will receive what you seek. Okay, fantastic. And this again is a modification from Kung Fu Panda. There is just news. There is no stupid or bad or good or bad news. So there are just questions. There is no stupid or intelligent questions. Please ask now. So anybody has any questions? please go ahead and you can ask your questions. So you can even put it in the chat section if somebody wants it.
Santosh sir, hello.
Yes, Niranjan. Yes,
Out
Niranjan.
of this all points, I would make a note for the
Mhm.
students. So, what the coach gives the correction, right, or an update, should not be forgotten. It's an add-on package for all the corrections. What a coach gives.
Okay.
Example, like you have given me one correction on one step. So
Mhm.
that is an add-on. So the next step, you should not forget the correction. A point to be noted by
Okay.
all the students. I
Okay.
would
So that means
appreciate
okay.
that for that. How you ideally give that, so you can give that liberation on that part of us. It will be a helpful part.
Oh, sure. So that means you're trying to tell that if coaches taught you something, don't forget when you progress ahead and note it. It makes sense. Good.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So anybody else? What are the questions you have? And I also have received a few questions. Before I get to that, any other questions people have here? I received a lot of questions in the registration process itself.
Yeah, hello, sir. Shaman here.
Yes, Shaman.
So basically, like when we start shooting, you always tell like you need to warm up first. You need to do your workouts practice first. Like, what's the actual importance of doing these?
Okay, so the real importance of warm up is preparing your mind, right? You know, all of you, I've seen so many students today. People are not just exclusive shooters. They're working. They have their families to manage. They're students who have to manage their studies. There are students who are even managing companies. So a lot of people come with a lot of problems. Okay, when you come into the range, you have 100 things on your mind, but you don't let that affect you. So if you're not prepared, if you don't prepare yourself before you start, right, it is going to affect your mental makeup while shooting. So warm up is part of the process that you do every single day, and you follow it as a strict routine. What it does is it tells your body, right, and your mind that now you're in a shooting range. Now you need to do this particular task. So you create an objective for every session, and while doing that warm up, you also prepare your body. That's why warm up is necessary for mental makeup, but more important for your body also, because you're going to torture your body for 1.5 hours. Clear? So shall we move on to the next question? Anyone?
Hello, sir. Kushal here.
Yes, Kushal.
I just had a doubt like when you are into professional shooting, you're a national level
Mhm.
shooter or something like that, how or can we get monetary sponsorships for our training or whether it be for travel or something like that?
Okay, so we are continuing to work on this front, and if you look at, it does happen. It is not as frequent as it should be ideally, but it is not very rare also. So if you look at our own shooters, a couple of them have been sponsored by corporates. Okay, so Pavan for one, I'm not sure if he's in the meeting. Is he here? Okay, so he did get a corporate sponsorship of 50,000 rupees when he wanted to upgrade his jacket and trouser. So it is quite possible. The approaches are there. We are trying to make it happen, and we are also pitching across for a lot of successful shooters to corporates. And though not immediately, but near future, let's say not more than 1 or 2 years, we see a lot of good things happening to shooters who are really professional shooters and are doing really well. Okay. Pawan has messaged, am I audible? Pawan, you're not audible. Okay. So yes, there is corporate sponsorships that will be available in future. So don't give up on your hope if you have financial issues, but you need to just continue to grind. Okay. Become the best shooter, and you will receive that sponsorship sooner or later. And people like us, I'm sure a lot of people are working towards achieving it. Okay. So corporate sponsorships are available. Individual sponsorships are also available. So it will come. So please wait. Nothing to worry on that front. Just continue to train, and you will. And if you succeed, sponsorships are sure to hit. Okay. So next point, you have two shooters who got sponsorships from our own academy. So it is possible. I know it. Any other questions?
Sir, Rakshit here.
Hi, Rakshit. Yes, please.
Uh, so my question is about so more often we don't get used to the match anxiety that we get used to it in national level matches, and sometimes you do perform in one of the good series. Say your second series or the third series becomes a terrible outcome. Say you shoot a 98, 99, or even 100, but then you are not able to recover. Those kind of scenarios we don't get used to it or we don't get to practice it in our home ranges. So how do we cope up? How do we bridge this gap? This was my question.
Trust me, it happens in shooting. While you're practicing, I've seen this happen so many times. Your first series goes well, second series goes well. I've seen, what shooters do at that point of time. They restart the match when they hit a bad shot. Right? A lot of shooters do this mistake. No, don't do that. A lot of shooters I've seen, right, when they're shooting, the first they switch on from training mode or the practice mode to match mode, right? Sighters mode to match mode, to be precise. When that happens, what do people do? When the first shot goes to a net, they restart the match. Don't do that. That is your match practice. That is what you're looking for. That is the opportunity you've been waiting for. Understand, that's the opportunity you've been waiting for. It does happen in practice sessions also. You will shoot bad series, you will have a bad series. How you recover from it, that is your practice, that is your opportunity, that's your real opportunity. When that happens during your training sessions, utilize that. You don't remember those things, that's the problem. That's why I say write it down, notes. That's what it will reinforce you to understand what really you are. I can 100% assure it will happen when you're practicing also. It's not so isolated, it's not that it just happens in your competition only. It's impossible. It will happen in your match. I've seen it time and again. Okay, so,
But
but when it happens,
it's too occasional. Sorry to disturb. It's too occasional that someone like while you're practicing, if I take my example, I don't do that. If I hit a 8 and just keep shooting it, but my outcomes are really good. I don't get disturbed during my practice session. But when it comes to the match, not quite often that it happens. But when it happens, it's something new that I take more time to get back to the phase where I was handling the shots.
So this is where being competitive comes into play. You remember I told you that when I was playing cricket, somebody hit me to a boundary, and I used to be really upset at myself. Right? I used to go back and come on, you can do better than this. And I used to walk up and play my game with the opponent batsman. And I used to go back and get my run up back and hit the deck hard and get the wicket. Right? It's like that. You will have to figure out a strategy. What works for you? It's important. Nobody understands you better than yourself. Remember this point, right? That is why you people are critical of yourself also, right? You could have done better. That is why you think that you've not put 100% effort, and that's why you're critical. So don't be so critical. At the same time, also accept these points, right? So when bad shot happens in the match, be competitive. Go get back to that your process and deliver that next perfect shot. Don't hang out. So being competitive will help here. I hope I've answered, Rakshit. Being competitive, does help you.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Okay. So I did receive, a question, a couple of questions. Just let me get to that question part, and let's see. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
So there was a question from Murli sir in the chat box.
Okay. What are the techniques for overcoming emotions at the range? Warm up. Okay. So warm up really well. You create a box in the entrance of your range. Take all your worries, coded in that. Okay, so you will have a lot of emotions running through your head. You will have to learn to deal with them. You have to practice all your thoughts. See, ultimately, no matter how well we train you, how good we teach you and train you as coaches, the limitation is not always the coach's voice runs in your head while you're shooting. It is your own voice that talks to you in your head. When your own voice is, you're so used to your own voice in the head, uh, coach's voice don't run there. So you have to learn to deal with your own voice. You have to learn to deal with basically your own emotions and be comfortable with those thoughts, right? You know how to you answer those thoughts in a particular way to deal with it. Okay, so you have to get used to things, and it has to be done very consciously. At subconscious levels, you cannot make corrections. At being conscious level, you can get better. Clear? Any more questions? I think let me try and get to that one question. It was a very interesting question that I had received from Rahul. Is Rahul still around?
Yes, sir.
Let me just check that and get back to you. Just a minute. Okay. So in the meanwhile, anybody has questions? In one of the questions I had received is what are, as coaches, what are the things you need to avoid? Okay, what are the things shooters need to avoid? So let me answer that. Okay, so doing experiments. Okay, as shooters, I would like you to not deal with experiments on daily basis. Don't make experiments happen. Okay, and one of the things I also advise is don't listen to music while you're dry fire practice. You're doing your dry fire practice, don't listen to music. A lot of people have this habit of listening to music, so you tend to ignore the real learning happens when you're doing the dry fire. Okay, so don't listen to music during the dry. Pay absolute attention to your front side and alignment, the whole process itself. Give your 100% there. So when you go to your shooting lane, you don't have to bother about these things. Okay, so that is one thing you can avoid is listening to music or too many thoughts. Okay, having too many thoughts is can be avoided. Then starting practice without objective. Okay, never do this mistake. If you don't have an objective, don't touch the gun. You don't know what to do, if you're not sure of what to do now, don't touch the gun, right? Just by lifting the gun, you don't you can't say, woke up, I don't have anything to do, come let's go to the range. Okay, that doesn't work like that. So if you don't know what you want in that session, don't touch the gun. Okay, decide what you want and then only touch the gun. Okay, and the routine, follow the routine. Not following routine has to be avoided at every cost. Every session, the way you begin your warm up, the way you end your session has to be same. Okay, absolutely same, the same way you need to. That is part of discipline. Okay, and not having timetable is an absolute no. So you need to prepare yourself for that also. Okay, so that is done. So we get to the question that I had received. So the avoidables I have mentioned. So one of the interesting questions that I had received was how to create positive thoughts mindset for every situation. Okay, so how to create positive thoughts and mindset for every situation. It is habit, how you develop that habit. It is part of uh, your own character. Like I said, be comfortable with your thoughts. So whatever you're speaking, first you need to understand what are the thoughts that you're running in your head. So when you write it down, it does help. Okay, so to create positive thoughts around is to first understand what are the thoughts that are you're going through, what are the thoughts that are running in your head. So once that happens, it becomes easier to give it a positive spin, right? oh my God, I'm not able to hit a 10. I've already hit 4 9s. Now I need a 10. Rather than that, think that I know the process of hitting a 10. Right? I know the process of hitting a 10. Close my eyes, I visualize myself, say, this is how I hit a 10. Go back and try to get that. Okay, so that's how you create positive thought or mindset for every situation. How to handle stress and anxiety. Again, stress and anxiety is to do with the way you think. So uh, get get it going and be comfortable with your thoughts, and very importantly, you'll have to, only when you understand what is causing that stress and anxiety, you can deal with it, right? So first know what is causing the stress and anxiety. Okay, it's very important to understand yourself, right? So, and nobody understands better than you. That's why you need to write down those that notes, and it will help you. And another question was how to deal with surrounding environment. Okay, acceptance. Okay, how to deal with surrounding environment? Accept it. You can't change it. You can't change the way the next guy who's shooting next to you. You can't change the way the range officer is looking at you. You can't change the way maybe a spectator is looking at you during the competition. You know, you turn your head every time that guy is staring at you. You feel like, why is this guy watching at me? Trust me, he's not watching you at all. He has no business watching you. He's just there, sitting there, he's gazing, and probably you are catching every time he's turning his head towards you, you are catching that you are feeling strange. A lot of shooters do tell that. So accept that this is the environment. That acceptance brings peace. The moment you accept that, okay, I can't change any of this. I am here. I have a particular skill which I need to execute right now, and this is my opportunity to do that. Automatically, that surrounding environment disappears, right? So you work on your skill and you work on possibilities rather than thinking of how the surrounding is affecting me or the environment around is affecting me. Okay, even inside your own shooting range, sometimes you don't like somebody, sometimes you like somebody. You end up having people whom you don't like around you, but you can't do anything. You are there to train. That you are not responsible for somebody else's behavior. You're responsible for only your behavior. So at some point of time, I always tell athletes, be a little selfish. You be bothered about yourself, not others. Okay, the best way to put that is only when you have 10 rupees in your pocket, you can give a beggar the 10 rupees. If you don't have the 10 rupees in your pocket, you just put your arm around that beggar and say, come, let's go beg. Right? You don't have money, you can't give. Right? So that means if you have not acquired talent, you can't share it. If you are not a good person, you cannot be good to others, right? So that means once you accept that things are like this, then automatically it does help you and pacify, and it gives you control over the situation. You start to learn to ignore things. So one of the points that I taught you was to learn to ignore things. So these are also aspects where you need to learn to ignore things. And another question was how do we bring match environment during practice sessions? It is nearly impossible, as we all say, right? Every time you're shooting a practice session, at back of the mind, you know it's a practice session. No matter how hard you try to convince yourself it's a match, it's a match, it's a match, it's not going to happen. Okay, but rather, what can happen is challenge yourself, visualize yourself, sit calmly, and visualize yourself hitting 10 continuous 10 shots in a particular process. Once you visualize, go back to the lane and start shooting and execute those 10 shots in the same manner. Okay, if you can achieve that, that put confidence in it. Once you have that confidence inside you, trust me, you will really enjoy that, and that challenge makes you better. And it simply puts you into that match zone, and you start becoming competitive, right? One of the ways to become competitive in shooting is to challenge yourself to do things in a particular way. Don't challenge yourself today. I will hit 105 series. It's absolutely useless. Rifle shooters and pistol shooters saying, I'll shoot 100 out of 100. I mean, 10 out of 10 tens. So don't do that. It's not going to happen. That's not the right way, right approach that you need to have. The right approach you need to have is I'm going to execute 10 shots in a particular process. Okay, I'll follow a particular process to achieve the result I desire. and you execute that 10 shots, and trust me, the day you get the result, your confidence is straight through the roof and you are the best shooter. Okay, so these are the points. Any more questions anyone has? So to conclude the session, first and foremost, I will thank every single one, every single person here, and also thank you for being and listening here. One of the most important points, as I told, was this is a continuous process. Okay, this is a continuous process, and the series will continue. I will be bringing on board sports psychologists. I will be bringing on board sports. Physiotherapists, yoga expert, meditation experts. I will bring on board equipment manufacturers, equipment dealers. They're very good equipment dealers who can advise you a lot in terms of which equipment to buy and which equipment not to buy, when to buy. All these questions will be answered. What are absolutely essential equipments, what are discretionary equipments, and what are the things that you absolutely need when you start shooting, and all these questions will be answered in the future series we are going to develop. And path to success in shooting is not just one series, it's just a point we initiated today, and we'll continue to grow in this direction, and we'll try to encourage as many shooters to pick up. So what I will do is all the future sessions will be updated in a WhatsApp group. So I will drop a link right now in the chat section. Okay, so just please hold on, give me a minute. So what I'll do is I'll drop the WhatsApp link in the chat box, so that join that group. Okay, so all the future series, all the experts who are going to come in, and every single person who is an expert in this subject will be brought on to board, and all these people will advise you and help you become better. And that particular group will keep updating all the aspects. Okay, just hold on. Okay, I think we have another question in the chat box. I will look at it. So that's a link to join the WhatsApp group. So whoever is interested can click and join the WhatsApp group, so that all the future updates will come. And any question in the chat box, please suggest some warm-up exercises. Okay, warm-up exercises is not small topic. In fact, I can do one thing. On the WhatsApp group, I will send the list of whole set of exercises, warm-up exercises, and other body weight exercises that's recommended for basic, intermediate, and advanced level. That is designed by a very good sports physiotherapist, a friend of mine. I will share that, which we share with our shooters. So we'll work on that and get you that information, or you can always put across your points. Okay, so we have another question. Hello, sir. Any advice for those who are starting late, like those who are in their 20s? 20s is not late by any measure. Okay, so don't worry about that. Even if you start in your 30s, you can succeed. Even if you start at your 40s, you can succeed. There are innumerable shooters out there in the world who have proved this time and again. Okay, you're never late to start shooting. It doesn't matter even if you're 50. go ahead, put your heart out, trust your coach, trust the process, learn the process, work on it. So absolutely nothing to worry. So whatever age you're starting it, it's a wonderful sport to be in. You can pour your heart into the sport, and the sport will give you much more than you expect. In fact, I never felt disappointed with a gun. Probably the only thing in my entire life that never disappointed me was the gun. Okay, so it's there. If you're starting late, you just put your heart into it. Doesn't matter. Okay. Any last questions? I have shared the WhatsApp link. Anybody who's willing to join the WhatsApp group, and all the future talks and updates you'll be receiving through that WhatsApp. It will be only admin only posting, so we'll not post any uh, good mornings there. So that will happen. Hopefully, I have answered. And okay, I have. Sir, I'm a beginner in shooting. Will monotech be good choice? Monotech is the Ferrari of shooting. So it's very subjective. So your coach will help you out in deciding which is your best rifle for you. Trust your coach on that aspect. It could be Fenwalk bow, it could be Walther, it could be Steyr. We don't know. It so much depends on your body structure, your body type, and so many things. So I would request you to, you know, uh, talk with your coach. So Monotech is definitely a good weapon. So nobody would have any doubts there. So it's a very brilliant weapon. If you can afford that, yes, definitely you could buy it. Okay. I have participated shooting for 2 years and didn't touch pistol for 1 year. What to do? Get back. Right? Good. So if you haven't, your pistol is missing you. That's what I can tell you. Okay. Your pistol is missing you more than you missing your pistol. Okay. So get back to it. Give it some love. Clean it up. Get it serviced if required, and start shooting. So absolutely, don't worry when something you really like, but it only matters how many times you restarted it. If you stopped it 10 times, but you restarted it 11 times, that means 11 times you completed that task. So it doesn't matter how many times or how long gap you give. So it doesn't matter. So when you get back with the same love and appreciation to the sport that you had day one. Okay, don't change that. Good. So any pointers or anything, any suggestions you have for future sessions? If you need, if you have any suggestions to topics to be covered, and as I said, we'll be getting okay, if people are there. So if people are there, can just turn on your camera, and please do leave a review also. Just drop in a message to me or at our WhatsApp number, so that we understand what are the requirements. Okay. So please do send your feedback about the session. Okay, please do send your feedback about the session. I would really appreciate that. And if you need anything more, do let us know about what are the topics that we need to work on in near future. So which is a matter of concern to you people. I'm sure it will be fantastic. Okay. Thank you guys. Absolutely fantastic having you here. And hopefully I've done justice to the entire process. Hopefully
It's a nice question. Thank you, sir.
thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, Santosh.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you,
Bye bye.
thank you,
Bye bye.
take
Thank
care.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much, sir.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody from Kanyakumari, if you have any doubts, you can always ask. If you want any answers in Tamil also, நீங்க தமிழையும் கேட்கலாம். ஏதாவது questions இருந்தா இப்போ. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Have any questions? Do write back. I also do provide a feedback.
So one more
Thank
doubt.
you. Yes, yes.
One of my
Vishal.
friend, he was not able to join today. So can he join
Okay.
the tomorrow session?
Later, yes, we will update you. You join the WhatsApp group, and we'll keep posting you there on the WhatsApp group so that you don't miss out any of the series. So next week we'll have some important discussions going on everything related to shooting and experts. Okay. So if I'll in the WhatsApp group again, I'll share the slides also what I worked on today so that you can always refer back to them. And if anyone needs of those slides also, do let me know. I can share them. Okay, in the WhatsApp group, I will be sharing once.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Are there any more questions anyone has? As long as you guys are here, so if you have any questions, please do ask. And the chat section is open. Good. Right. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll close. If has anybody doubts, another 2 minutes. I'm here. If anybody has any more doubts or anything you want to ask, I think you have the numbers also. We have the WhatsApp group again link there. If somebody is unable to join, I will share that WhatsApp link to everybody, so you can join. So any more questions? Do guys let me know. Bye. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm here for another minute. Anybody has any doubts or anything, please do let me know. And WhatsApp group is already sent. Is Monotech good for basic shooters? Yes, it is good for anyone. It's like having the best rifle in your hand. If you have an opportunity, you should go for it. So definitely you should try. So it's a fantastic. Alutech is also fantastic. So it again depends on your body weight. Monotech is slightly heavier. Alutech is slightly lighter. So compared to Monotech, both are have the same engines. So always go for the latest if possible. So if you can go for Monotech, fantastic. Or if you want a lighter gun, Alutech is good. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and appreciate everyone. And I'll be signing off. Thank you so much. Take care. See you around.